Welcome to the Career Tipper Podcast, hosted by professional development author and coach Michelle Beatty. The Career Tipper Podcast shares career advancement tips and resources for a variety of industries to assist professionals to keep their soft and technical skills recharged, competitive, and hire ready.
Welcome back to Season 2 of Skills Recharged. The conversation continues with mental health therapist Victoria Henry during Episode 2. She has demonstrated a history of working in the mental health care industry and community outreach throughout Central Florida. Victoria helps clients develop skills to successfully take control of their mental health and build healthy relationships with family, friends, and community members. During this episode, Victoria is going to share how demonstrating mindfulness can help you manage your emotions and overcome fear-based thinking to prevent career burnout. I'm your host, Michelle Beatty, professional development advocate. Victoria, welcome to the Career Tipper Podcast.
Thank you so much, Michelle, for having me.
I'm excited. So please, Victoria, share your journey to why you have labeled yourself as an anxiety-busting therapist.
Well, the reason why I chose anxiety busting is because I feel like so many people are dealing with some type of worry or some type of feeling of not understanding what's coming next. So I think as professionals, that catchphrase anxiety busting just lets you know that I'm very serious about helping you gain control over your emotions and your feelings so that you can make really strategic moves while you're moving through your career, or just if you're a stay-at-home mom, being the best mom you can be and pretty much just living a full life. So
how does someone recognize anxiety?
Well, the first thing you want to do when you're trying to make a note of whether you're anxious is how you're feeling in your body. A lot of people think that anxiety starts or is only in your mind or with your thoughts, but really it has a lot to do with the way you're feeling in your body. So for people who are anxious, you may feel some tightening in your chest, like you're unable to breathe. You may have muscle tension in your neck or shoulders. You may feel also a sense of being overwhelmed. Sometimes people feel claustrophobic. So first you want to look for these physical symptoms, sweating, and then from there, of course, the emotional and thought processes that go along with anxiety. For example, overthinking, racing thoughts, being easily distracted. All of these are symptoms of anxiety.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I got it. Now, please share a few stress triggers that could be predictable and maybe not so obvious ones that you suggest professionals be mindful of in the workplace.
Well, one thing I've definitely noticed that people have told me is that they are just so unable to complete a full task. They'll start one thing and then just go to another one, or they're just so easily distracted. They just cannot focus. Or they're talking to someone and they're losing track of the conversation, stuttering, not being able to complete your thought. You know what you want to say, but you're unable to complete it because you just have so many other things going on within you. Also, I feel like it's important to remember that in a work setting, you're dealing with a lot of different people's emotions. Sometimes you're dealing with the public. So while you have a lot going on, they also have a lot going on. So their emotional stress and body language or the way they interact with you can also trigger you. So it's important to just be aware of how you're doing all the time.
Okay. Do you feel that multitasking is overrated?
Oh, definitely. I really feel like multitasking makes you so unproductive. Mindfulness, the key to that is just doing what you're doing while you're doing it. And a lot of people are using the term mindfulness now because it has shown to be a very vital part of understanding yourself as a person, understanding the work that you're trying to accomplish. Because if you're doing what you're doing while you're doing it, you're doing a good job. And people feel that you're taking note of who they are when you're interacting with them. So you're understanding yourself better and they're understanding themselves better. And we're just producing a better product all around. You know what I'm saying?
I do. I hear you. And when you just said that, the first thing that came to my mind is, well, two things came to my mind. One, mastering being present. So that means put that cell phone down.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing that just came to mind was embracing stillness.
Yes, it's okay to rest. I'm constantly saying that all throughout the day. It's okay to be a person that takes a moment to pause and think about how you're doing. Feel the sensations in your body. Note that you're holding your breath. A lot of times when people are anxious, they hold their breath. Or if you're angry, you may be holding your breath. The brain needs oxygen to form complete thoughts. So something like putting your phone down and not being distracted means, okay, let me take a note. Am I hungry right now? Am I feeling tired right now? What's going on with me? All important things to do. Mm-hmm.
Noted. Yes, ma'am. Indeed. So what resources, activities, or apps do you suggest professionals research or consider investing in to help them maintain consistent, healthy mental wellness?
I think it's important for all of us to, if we're going to have our phones, we might as well utilize them and download some apps that can be helpful in your daily interactions. One that I really enjoy is called Calm, and Calm will take you through how to meditate. And it sets a timer on your phone, so it'll alert you when it's time to take a pause to meditate and reflect on how you're doing. Another one is called Headspace, and Headspace is similar. It'll also give you specialized individual guides on how to relieve stress or anxiety or worry. So both of those apps are very, very good at helping teach you how to manage stress throughout the day.
Okay, Victoria, I want to know, what do you want everyone, because to everyone, mental wellness might mean something different. Is there a baseline to what mental wellness is when you're working with your clients?
I think it's important for people to be very aware of burnout, and that's been really heavily used lately as a catchphrase because it's also been added as a diagnosis in the DSM. And the definition of burnout is a mental or physical collapse caused by overwork or overstress. And in the field that I'm in, of course, I see people from all walks of life. And burnout is not only affecting professionals, it's affecting people like working mothers, working fathers. It's affecting people all across the board. And if we're really going to look deeply into it, it's even affecting our children, and the mental stresses that they're under at school. So I think it's just important to be aware of your physical and mental health at all times and to understand that there is a thing called burnout where you're just doing too much and you need to take breaks. You need to set non-negotiables about taking days off from work and maybe even consider allowing your kids to take a day or two off from school. Because guess what? We're not robots and we can't just keep going. We have to take care of ourselves.
So mindfulness and career burnout, those are the two things that are top of mind for you.
Definitely. Very vital to our mental and physical health.
Okay. Now, what do you encourage each of us to be mindful of when communicating with our colleagues during heavily discussed, unpredictable times? Because there's so much going on in society right now, and it's like an ongoing thing, which has always been the case. But it just seems like things are more heightened because everyone's paparazzi. There's so much going on right now. What do you encourage?
I definitely encourage connection, Michelle. I think that we as a society sometimes feel that we can do it all by ourselves. But the bigger picture means that we do need to be connected. We're relational creatures. So asking for help is okay. And taking time to really reflect on things that you can outsource, whether that be, asking for somebody to help you research something, for someone's advice on different tools and skills or classes that you could attend, conferences that you can attend, so that you can stay motivated in your field and motivated to understand why you're doing what you're doing.
No, that makes sense. Now, are there any final thoughts that you want the listeners to embrace, practice, or just keep top of mind as they learn to master mindfulness?
Yes, I do. I think it's important to make sure that you're always ready to learn and grow and understand that we're always growing and changing. We've never arrived, and on this journey of life, it's important to give yourself room to make mistakes, to give yourself room to look into different avenues, to learn new things from different people, and to be aware of the fact that we are world citizens, and that adventure and, real living is not inside of the office all the time. Sometimes we need to step out of our comfort zones and do something different to make sure that we stay motivated to live out our purpose.
That's so true. You have to take time to actually live. I love that.
Yes. Get out of that office. Get out of that cubicle.
Victoria, speaking of living, one thing I realized just amongst people that I interact with the podcast, everyone is really focused on just making sure that they excel in their role, create memories with their families, and for many, they're trying to pay off that student debt. And it's they're pushing themselves. And I just wonder with when you're meeting with your different clients and what you see just from your observation in everyday life, how does career burnout, what do you, break that down, because how can mindfulness help prevent career burnout, and address it from multiple aspects, if you like?
Okay, well, I'm really glad you asked this, because I continually see a lot of professionals, people that are, highly educated in their field, even specializing in their field, who are forgetting the reasons why they do what they do and are basically just kind of checking in and checking out of a job and checking out of life, and they're forgetting that, the purpose behind what they're doing is to live a full life that is healthy, not skipping meals, not missing sleep, not missing your kid's softball game, that's not living. You're just kind of existing. And so preventing burnout is definitely incorporating mindfulness, because you want to be aware of what you're doing. You want to be able to take a pause for the cause and really consider, this is my life. I'm not going to get the time back. I really need to be investing and be very intentional about where I put my energy. And so I really feel as if professionals right now are, being pulled in so many different directions, when really we need to be putting what's first, and being spiritually, emotionally, and physically and socially grounded into why we do what we do. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do. I'm over here nodding. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just a whole bunch of doing without really enjoying. And that's what mindfulness is also about, enjoying, bringing joy back into your existence, peace and contentment, not just fretting and worry and just, a lack of peace. I've seen a lot of people lately that just can't sleep. They're having such an issue with sleep, which you and I both know is a very vital, fundamental piece of what a good mental health is, being able to rest.
So what's step one? Cause I think some people know, if they have that self-talk, right? They look in the mirror, they know that is something that they need to address for a better quality of life beyond materialistic things. So what is step one? Is it just acknowledgement or?
Yes. Acknowledging your own value, acknowledging your worth. You and your energy go bye-bye, the train stops. Nothing else happens. Everything that you're trying to accomplish now comes to a crashing halt. Sometimes people even end up in the hospital because they just haven't taken the time to acknowledge, number one, your value system. What's important to you? Family, God, career, set things up in proper perspective. That's step one. Step two is then being very intentional about where you're going to put that energy, where you're going to invest your time and money so that you can keep the wheels on, so that you can keep going.
Yeah. You got to keep going. So should we set benchmarks or phase gates of okay, when we get here, we yay, celebrate our growth.
Yes, definitely. Celebrate everything, and this is where incorporating, a professional comes into play. A lot of times people don't even see what they're doing. And that's a big reason why people come in to see a licensed mental health therapist or a life coach or their pastor or a trusted friend or mentor. What's happening to me? I don't understand what's going on, or I need some help. I need to consider some things or just process out loud. So you can have some direction of where you're going or where you want to go. You understand what I'm saying?
I do. So when it comes to the different generations in the workplace, I'm pretty confident every generation can experience career burnout, whether you're new to the workforce or you've been in the workforce for several years. what are your suggestions for each group to identify? Because I know, like, if you've only been working, like, fresh out of college, because you were saying even children need break. I feel the same thing applies to college students as well.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So they got the degree, or they did what they needed to do, and now they have the job. Can they experience career burnout early?
Oh, yes, definitely. Definitely. Because you're so busy, attending class, doing assignments, you're not even thinking about the benefits or the rewards that are going to come on the other side. Really, you're just bogged down and tired. So it's about reflecting on quality, not quantity. You have a lot of things to do, but you want to try to do the most important things first well. Keep you at the top, because you're going to do a whole lot of things. But it's about checking the boxes, but don't forget about you at the end of the day. You and why you're doing what you're doing, so that you can look back on it and just be proud of the work that you've done, and understand that you still kept intact your dignity and your integrity about, I'm still important, I still matter. I'm not just doing a whole bunch of things.
That's true. I do. So what about the professional that has been in a job for 5 years and they realize it's nothing with what they want to do? It doesn't reflect the lifestyle they want. It just doesn't reflect them. And that happens. Sometimes people are in a job and they think that's what they want to do, and they're like, this is not it. And then they have regret.
Right. But it's about being brave enough to say, this isn't working. I need to do something different, and I'm worth doing something different. And you have to really be brave in that moment. You have to tell yourself, okay, what do I need to do to rebrand, retool, recharge, reorient myself to a new way of being? And a lot of times, Michelle, I've also seen this. Sometimes people do get to a place where they're no longer able to do the type of work that they're doing, because they've neglected their mental health for so long, or they've neglected their physical health for so long. So they're in a place where they're unable to do the type of work at the quality of doing it. Mm-hmm. And so it's time to change. It's time to do something different. Different doesn't always mean bad, but it can also be at a great cost. If you're unwilling to change, you're also saying, I'm unwilling to do the very thing that's going to give me peace, that's going to give me enjoyment and contentment.
That makes sense. Now, what about generally, people are living longer, people are working longer. So what about the baby boomers who are working longer, and they're like, okay, the generational, all the different generations working in the workplace, and they're trying to decide, should I stay? Should I go? What am I going to do if I'm not working anymore? That's like a huge emotional whirlwind going on for that group of people, professionals. So what do you want to say to them that are going through career transitions unexpectedly, or just deciding they want to keep going, or is it okay if I stop? Like, what is life next for me?
I think it's definitely important to tell that person it's okay to ask these questions. It's okay to be at this place in this space and time. But now what? What is it that you're hoping, the best case scenario? What's your best case scenario outcome? And then consider having help to navigate through that, from a career specialist or somebody that you can trust in the field that will be willing to help you process that. Because a lot of times we're trying to do it all by ourselves, and it's scary. But you don't have to do it by yourself. There's no reason for that. There's enough resources and tools in this day and age for you to look at different ways of how to make almighty dollars, so that you can feel confident that you can still make your bills and still do the things you need to do and still feel purposeful. Maybe you can't do it the same way that somebody just entering out of college could do it, but you still have all of this background and all of this experience. And so you let somebody that understands how to help you sell yourself and get yourself out there again to do something different, or do what you're doing now, just in a different company or in a different capacity. But I think the biggest thing is to tackle the fear of change. That's the only thing that's going to be consistent in our lives is change. So we have to accept that part. And once you've done that, then you can plan your action steps.
I agree. Is there a quote that you want the listeners to embrace when it comes to mindfulness?
I think one that I say often to myself, people are more important than things. And so invest in relationships. First, the one that you have with yourself. Invest in that relationship and take time to take note of you. how you think, how you feel, how you move, what motivates you, what keeps you going, what doesn't keep you going, what annoys you, and then the relationships that you have with other people, within your sphere of your family. And then from there, so you work from the inner part out.
Yes. I love it. Victoria, thank you so much for being a guest on the Career Tipper podcast. Please let the listeners know how they can get in contact with you.
They can always reach me via email at livelightcounseling@gmail.com. That's LIVELIGHT counseling. Or you can hit me up on Facebook or Instagram at Live Light Counseling.
Fantastic. And you can find me, Michelle Beatty, at careertipper.com and on Facebook and Instagram at Career Tipper and Twitter, Career Tipper1. Please listen and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and Stitcher Radio. If you enjoyed this episode or any other episode, please leave a 5-star review on iTunes. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Career Tipper podcast. We're grateful for our listeners. For more resources about how to keep your skills recharged, visit careertipper.com. Follow Michelle on Instagram and Facebook at Career Tipper and on Twitter at Career Tipper1. Until next time, stay curious.